Ethics are what's stopping Bradley from helping.
Well,
G'day, I'm Dave. I'm the Keeper of Arcane Lore for Call of Cthulhu on the Chaosium stream of Chaos. Today, we're kicking off a new series with the first of 5 scenarios in Mansions of Madness. Mr. Corbitt. So you can get your own copy of Mansions of Madness Volume 1 from chaosium.com. I'd also like to thank Roll20, Sirenscape, and Web Captioner. These are all tools which help us to run Call of Cthulhu. There's links to these websites in the description below. Additionally, if you enjoyed our latest series of live plays, where we ran through 3 one-shots from Gateways to Terror, those are now live, the Roll20 version, so check those out. Alright, let's jump into the scenario. So it's the year 1920 something or another, and the 3 of you are spending the week in a charming upper middle class home along a leafy, overgrown road in the suburbs of Boston, Massachusetts. This was the home of Douglas Fogarty, the patriarch of the Fogarty family, but he died about 2 months back. It was a heart attack in his sleep. His wife, Harriet, and her live-in carer, Mrs. Rebecca Wallace, remain, and the 3 of you, as family members, have each come down to spend a little time to make sure that your mother, grandmother, and grandmother-in-law, I think, are all comfortable and settled. So where we'll begin this scenario, it's Sunday, it's like 7 p.m, you've all just had dinner. Harriet cooked most of it with the carer's assistance, and you're sort of cleaning up plates and going about a few afternoon chores. It gets towards sort of 8 p.m. As each of you introduce your characters, give us a description, and also, what are you doing? What have you been doing for this week? How are you helping out Harriet in her home? Art, why don't you kick us off?
Hey, I'm Art, and I'm playing Monkey, who looks about 15. They're actually, 20 or so. Very small, very sort of slight, in mishmashed clothing that looks like it's been pilfered from wardrobes, costume closets, and maybe a couple of charity drives. But they do have a very nice pair of soft-soled leather shoes, which are important to what they do. Monkey has probably just been helping to clean out gutters and doing a couple of basic handiwork things around the house, and probably helping with cleaning. They're a pretty physically active person. They're not much of a thinker, so I think that's probably where they've been most helpful.
Fair enough. Clambering around on roofs and fetching balls and, crap from the gutters. What do you do with yourself, Monkey? What's your occupation?
Acrobat.
Okay, all right. Nondescript? Vague?
I like climbing things and jumping and throwing and, the usual.
All right, didn't know you could get paid for that, but hey, it's good work if you can get it. All right, so Monkey's balancing, a way too high pile of plates out into the kitchen so they can be cleaned by Mrs. Wallace. She's not exactly a young woman herself. She's in her early 60s, but she's more capable than Harriet, and she's scrubbing them down. She takes them from you, thanks you for your assistance, and sends you back to gather another load.
Oh, okay. When all of them are done, I will then plonk myself in the kitchen and help wash dishes and dry them, and just the helpful thing.
It's being friendly and helpful. That's right. All right. So up next, Jackson.
hey, I'm Jackson, and I am playing Dr. Brad Fogarty, who longtime fans and viewers, our adoring viewers, which we have so many of, will recognize from What's in the Cellar, our Gateways to Terror scenario from a few weeks back. I brought him back because I thought he's probably got an interest in spooky haunted houses, and I have a feeling that spooky haunted houses is exactly what we're going to run up against in
there might
Mansions
be
of
a few.
Madness. Yeah, so here we are. Dr. Brad Fogarty is a psychologist. He is of a mature age of 55, and Douglas and Harriet are his parents. He has come back to the family home to spend some time with Papa before he passed away, and now is kind of there. You know, he's a professional, even though he's not a lawyer and accountant. He's a professional in that kind of sphere, so he's doing his best to kind of wrangle all of the affairs and probably get in touch with the right lawyers for the job, all that good stuff, all the legal work that goes into you know, all the paperwork that goes into someone passing away, and also lending a little bit of emotional support for Mam. So what he's specifically been doing is probably going through old documents and old photo albums. I don't know, was the family particularly well off? The impression I get is they were comfortable and they like to think of themselves as upper class. This is my idea of Brad's backstory. Wasn't super wealthy, but had enough to get by and kind of aspired for better things. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, your family has lived along this street for a couple generations now. They've definitely been established in the area, and they probably bought it when it was cheaper and kind of held on to it through some of the rougher years. You guys were well enough off, but you always looked at the other side of the family, the one which had some magical assistance, and were a little bit jealous of it. And I'm curious to know, so as you're seated off towards the side, there's a little drawing table and working through just piles of legal documents. Thinking back, you came into possession of a ring which gave your family line some magical luck, good fortune. It's since been passed on to another character in that scenario, who's also related to you, so that you didn't suffer the repercussions. But while it was in your possession, what was one really good turn of fate that happened? What was something that kind of just went right?
Maybe it was that I got news. You know, I had this run-in with this demon/genie, which you can catch up on youtube.com/Chaosium Inc. or whatever the URL is. Chaosium on YouTube. And had this run-in with this demon and was about to like set off on a classic Call of Cthulhu style globe-trotting adventure to find out the origins. And just before I got in the boat, I was fortunate enough to get word that Dad was ill and was about to pass away. And so I was able to be there with him.
Yeah.
For the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, that's right. And possibly, you know, that was what allowed you to get in contact with the other players and bring everyone back together. So this was able to be kind of a peaceful passing.
That's right.
All right, so we see Dr. Fogarty sequestered away in a corner, working as the sun begins to set, and we meet our final investigator, James.
Yes, hello, I am James, and I am playing Isabella Watch. I am a vibrant woman, an explorer, actually. I have quite an interesting career, but I have come to lend a kind ear to my Aunt Harriet, because you see, I too am a widow. You know, I in fact, I'm rather experienced at it, having lost 4 husbands now. Some upon the ice, some to disease. One I just never found again. But in all seriousness, I know what she's going through, and I am here to lend a kind ear. And so I'm sitting right by Auntie Harriet and talking to her, and I have been a rock for her to cry on.
Letting her just kind of natter away. I have to ask, with 4 dead or missing husbands, there have to be a few rumors flying around about. Have you done particularly well inheritance-wise from any of these?
I have, you know, it's very rude to talk about finance. I am not responsible for any of the deaths of my dear departed, adored husbands. It's just luck, and this is the, you know, currently I've been talking to another young fellow, and it's all going to go well this time, and I'll be able to put these rumors to rest.
All right, fantastic. So, I guess you're listening to Harriet kind of natter along after the meal. Monkeys set up with Mrs. Wallace, helping with the cleaning, and Brad's stepped away for the moment just to do some work. As the day continues, Dr. Fogarty, you're placed at a desk which looks out through a window and across the street where you can see there's the houses on the other side. One of them is the home of a man called Mr. Corbitt. Now, this is the neighbour of yours, and he's a family friend of your parents. You possibly even remember him from when you were younger and you would visit. He has a garden out the back which grows, really, really gorgeous produce. And he shares it around the neighborhood. Really friendly bloke and well liked within the community. As you're gazing out, kind of just taking a moment to let your eyes breathe from these legal documents, you see his car pull in and the man steps out. He's slight, looks like he's in his early 50s, possibly the same age as yourself, dressed in a sort of tan coat, and as he moves to the trunk of the car, he opens it and pulls out 2 brown paper wrapped packages. One is about the length and approximate dimensions of a baseball bat. The second one, conveniently, is about the dimensions of a baseball ball, and he sort of puts them up under his arms and moves up towards the door to open it. Fumbles with the keys for a moment in the locks, and you can see him like cursing as these older locks refuse to give, and then one of the packages drops down from his arms and unfurls. I need you to make a spot hidden check for me.
Ooh.
First roll.
What was his name? What was the neighbor's name again? Sorry.
This is Mr. Corbitt.
Oh, it's the man himself.
The very man.
Titular neighbor. All right, spot hidden. Let's have a look. See.
He's just getting a baseball as a gift. The baseball.
Getting it up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, you are staring right at it as one of them hits the ground and unfurls, and you are convinced for just a moment that you see what looks like a child's severed hand and the fingers curled up inside it, inside the package, which opens and they sort of reach up towards the light, catching in the setting sun. Can you immediately give me a sanity roll?
Oh my god.
But that was a failure, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's concerning.
You don't see what it really is, which was a child's severed hand in some other position.
Okay, with a success, you are able to blink again, and although you still think the object looks strange, it's not enough to kind of, trigger anything. No repercussions. Mr. Corbitt picks up the item, rewraps it quickly, and gives it like a shifty look up and down the street to see that he wasn't noticed, and then gets his foot in the door, opens it, and steps inside. Shuts. Light is seen on in another room in the house, and you kind of check it. You can return to your work.
Good. Have I had many run-ins with Mr. Corbitt before?
When you were younger, certainly. You probably haven't actually had an opportunity to touch base with him since you got back,
Okay.
and not since your father's death.
All right. Good to know.
All right. So the evening continues, and you sort of have like family game night, I guess. Have a couple drinks and eventually retire. By the next morning, what are the three of you kind of doing with your week here? What's downtime look like for you? I guess some of you might have brought work here that you need to click through, or is it just kind of a small vacation?
What was the caretaker's name again?
Mrs. Wallace.
Mrs. Wallace.
I think for me, it's definitely vacation. My work tends to take me far abroad, and I'm happy to be home for a while. So I might have decided that I'm going to go for a walk in town, maybe do some shopping. This is rather relaxing for me, all things considered. I'm blissfully walking through the house, preparing to go downtown, unaware of what is happening just across the street.
So you're kind of you're coming and going, doing some of the shopping for the home.
Yes. And
Any
myself.
luxuries that you're going to be getting while you're in the area?
I think there certainly are. I'm going to be looking at some clothing stores. I'm going to be looking at, under the guise of, I need a good new strong pair of boots for my adventuring, and good new strong, all that kind of stuff. And if it so happens to take me to a fashionable store, then oh no.
Such things happen. Okay, perfect. So you're doing a little bit of shopping. Brad or Monkey?
I guess just making sure my mother Harriet is comfortable and set up and has distractions for the day. That's the main thing. Maybe I'll get her set up to do some gentle gardening. I don't know what old people do.
I think
Yeah,
gardening's
that's what I'll do.
accurate.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll head out to the front yard and I'll give her something easy to do, like, I don't know, pull some weeds or something, and just hang around the front yard. No, pulling weeds is hard, isn't it? I'll give her a very lightweight watering can, and I'll get to work on pulling the weeds.
And she can follow you along.
As someone who has both a parent and a grandparent who enjoy gardening, pruning is pretty light.
Pruning, because you're high up, you don't have to bend
lean
down.
over. So, like, if she's got some really lovely rose bushes, those are actually not only quite tall and easy to prune, but also if you prune them a bit too much, they actually kind of like that. So,
Okay, great.
If you shake a bit and you can't quite get the right cut, it's not going to destroy the plant. So that's
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pruning
You're
some
welcome.
rose bushes.
I know nothing about gardening. I just know what my parents and grandparents do.
Yeah, inherited
That's enough for
knowledge.
me.
I'm
All right,
no good.
yeah, so you get her a pair of secateurs, and she can follow along behind you, snipping at the odd thorn, leaf, rose, whatever takes her fancy in the instant. Do you have any skill at gardening yourself, Brad?
I doubt it.
Okay, all right. So, natural world,
I'm
maybe?
looking at my character sheet as if yeah.
As if gardening's going to pop up out of nowhere.
I actually do have 25 natural world. Is that above base? I
Why
wonder.
don't you give us a natural world roll? Just because it's there.
Yeah, it is.
I doubt I'm
Base
going
is
to tempt
10.
you into spending any luck.
Ooh, 17 points of luck.
I doubt I'm going to tempt you. I don't even really want to tempt you. These characters might want to survive a couple of scenarios. No. So you're going along, and your mother notices that while you're, she clicks on that you're trying to entertain her, but you don't exactly have an expertise near her. So she says, "Why don't you go see that nice man across the road, Mr. How did it go again, Mr.
Mr. Corbitt, was it?
Yes. Why don't you ask him for some help? I mean, no offense, Bradley, but you're hardly a green thumb here. I'd rather think you're doing more harm than good." As she lops off 2 beautiful roses, and they hit the ground in front of her.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be fine. I mean, Mr. Corbitt's roses always come up very nice this time of year. I'm sure he has some tricks up his sleeve. Well, I'll be back in a moment, Mother.
He has a knack for it, I've always said. See if you can't get some of his vegetables as well, something for dinner.
I'd be happy to.
Very good. I'll just be here. And she attacks another bush with ferocity. All right, so Brad, you're looking at possibly going across the street. Monkey or
Yeah.
Isabella, any intent? Anyone want to join anyone? Do anything?
Look, if my darling cousin is going to go across to ask about gardening tips, I actually have pretty good natural world, but maybe I'll go across to pass the information.
Okay. All right. Monkey?
I mean, nice to be outside, so I guess I'll just wander over, see what everyone else is doing.
Or you were possibly outside anyway.
I was
There's
probably up a tree, kind of chilling, like
There's a-
dangling from like way too high up. I'm like, hello.
dangerously high. There's one of those really gorgeous sort of like tall oak trees that have sort of mottle the road with light during the day, and as you've clambered up one of them, out of eye line of where anyone would think to look, people have the habit of gossiping underneath you now, so they just talk about like the local neighborhood stuff, and you're just kind of hanging out. At one point, a young child, maybe 10 to 12, goes banging along on his bicycle, and he's got this little brown mutt that's chasing after him. And this kid's got newspapers, which is whipping across at houses as he goes past. And he's the only kid. He's the only person. He's a kid. Imagination's kind of running with him. Who's looking up, and he sees you all the way up the top. And he stops on his bike and kicks it out and stares up at you. And the dog takes a moment to notice, then starts barking at you. And he goes, "What are you doing up there?"
It's fun. I can see things.
Aren't you gonna fall?
I'll if the branch I'm on is thin enough to do so, or if it is not, I'll flip like upside down and hang by my knees and just be like, nah, probably not.
God, where'd you learn to do that?
Circus.
Ah, wait, you're in the circus? What kind?
The traveling kind. You know,
Wow.
with like people and animals and cool stuff.
That's incredible. Bet you've been all sorts of places.
I've been around a few places, yeah.
Do you reckon I could hit you with a newspaper?
Hell yeah. Give it a try.
All right. He leans backwards and he whips it up towards you. Do you want to give me a dodge roll? Or if he has something else suitable?
Or you try to
Sure.
catch it?
Or you can try to catch. I think
Throw,
dodge
use your
will.
throw skill.
Or throw skill. Yeah, either of those. The kid's
Will
got a
dodge
good arm
allow
on
me
him.
to catch it? Or like,
Yeah.
no. No.
He's
I'll
got a
dodge.
good arm, but it's really more. He gets in sort of the direction.
Sweet. Well, I'm quite good at dodging. So let's give this a run.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh yeah, what do you go for? Do you just like dexterously swing out of the way? Do you catch it?
I think he's Monkey's gonna like kind of hoik himself up and grab the branch with like an arm and a leg, like so he's hanging. They're hanging like sideways, and we'll whip the paper out with the other hand that's now free, and just be like, "You have a good arm."
That was amazing. Wow. And as he's looking up and continues this conversation, you see Brad and Isabella walking across the street to the neighbor's property on the other side.
Can I have been nattering to Brad as we went across?
Oh, I'd love you to natter.
Yeah, you know, it's simply someone's going to have to spend so much time with her, you see, and I can't possibly. My work takes me all over. I just think it would be wonderful if you made a regular, you know, monthly, fortnightly visit, something like that.
That's exactly what I was planning, yes. Although I certainly hope Mrs. Wallace can stay in residence for a little while longer. I think she really appreciates the company.
Yes, Mrs. Wallace seems wonderful. I'm always surprised when house staff don't try to make off with the silverware, and she seems wonderful.
Yes, well, maybe we should just take a quick inventory regardless. That's
That's a good idea. Can't
not
be
a
too
bad
bad.
idea. Yeah.
Hi.
Ah,
Oh my.
Monkey.
That's quite impressive. I can see this one reaching the peaks of the Himalayas, I'll tell you.
What's a Himalaya?
It's a mountain, a range, beautiful. I'll see to it that you see them one day.
Thanks. Paper's here.
Drop it down, will you?
Okay. I'll drop.
Lands like a cat. Thank you. I'm just going to do a quick, as we walk across the street, I do a quick scan of the paper. There's no, you know,
Yeah, just
16 murders next door. Don't go in the house.
a man beheaded again. Give me a library
Even found
use
in
roll.
basement again.
What we saw what looked like a child's hand. So you know,
Library use or English language.
English language will be equal to my education, so I might just try to do that.
Yeah, go for that. And at this point, you're pretty much crossing the street and you're at the door.
It's local.
Quick skim.
You know, nothing interesting.
No one's like summited anything or discovered anything new, so what's the point?
Local paper. What's
These
even the point?
Mundane lives. You just put it under an arm, and the three of you reach the door on the other side. It's a nice property, 2 stories, similar to your own, although it has some personalizations. The plants that grow around it are gorgeous, full, and blooming. And towards the back, you couldn't help but notice there is a greenhouse and a vegetable patch, which you saw as you passed. It looks like it's tended to regularly and doing very, very well. You knock on the door, and it takes a little while. You have to knock again before there's any response. And when it opened, Mr. Corbitt, very together, is wearing a white apron, like one might while doing gardening or something, to make sure that they don't get their nice suit dirtied. He opens the door and he says, hello, Bradley, isn't it?
It is. I wondered if you remember me, Mr. Corbitt. Yes, Brad Fogarty from just across the street.
Yes.
It's good to see you again after all these years.
Of course I remember. I'm so sorry to hear about your father's passing.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I'm back in town to help Mother out around the house. So I don't know if you've met my cousin Isabella.
Hello.
And my dibbling monkey.
I'm pleased to meet you both. Monkey, I think maybe when you were younger, I remember you clambering all about the property.
Yeah, I still do that.
Oh, good. Well, you've kept your hobbies.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm a tad distracted.
Oh.
Work and everything. This season's been very full on, as you might imagine.
I can't. I'm sorry. I don't quite remember what you do with yourself these days.
Import export. I inherited my father's business after he passed. A lot of product moving in through the city and then off all across America. It's a lot of work for only a few people. So I actually need to be going very soon.
Of course.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Well, I suppose Mother did have a request, a certain neighborly. She's looking quite enviously, I have to say, at your vegetable patch these days. I wonder if you could lend us just a few carrots or turnips or some not, and of course we'll send them back in another form at some point. If you need anything from us, the door is always open.
Oh, of course. That's what community's for. No, I'd love to. Why don't you let me have a look tomorrow. I'll dig something up and bring it right across. And if you're interested in having dinner or something, I'd love that.
That'd be fine. And you'd be welcome for a cup of tea and some cake any afternoon you choose. Mother quite likes a few visitors for afternoon tea.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, listen, again, I am sorry. I do have to get going. And at this point, you hear from inside the house banging, like I scared my dog. On a wall from somewhere on the lower levels. And as soon as it clicks in, Mr. Corbitt steps out the door onto the little veranda with the three of you and clicks it shut behind him. And he just seems to pretend like he didn't hear it. He says, as I was saying, I'm very sorry. I do have to get into work now. But I'll get some vegetables across from you tomorrow. And Monkey, Isabella, Bradley, it was fantastic seeing you. And I hope I'll see you again soon. It's really good work what you're doing with your mother. And I'll call in soon. And he sort of shakes your hand very earnestly and begins to head down towards the car.
Hey. Can I make a retroactive listen check to try and
definitely.
get a little bit of a, did this sound like the pounding of a severed child's hand or something? I don't know. What was the vibe that we got here?
Yeah, give me a listen roll.
I would be remiss not to roll a psychology check as a psychologist, if I may be so bold.
You are right. That's kind of in the wheelhouse. All right, so we're getting listen from Isabella, psychology from Dr. Brad Fogarty. Monkey, do you want to make a roll, or what are you doing during this discussion?
So Monkey's default is usually not paying attention to people talking.
Yep.
They're almost always looking around, just kind of curious about stuff,
Do you want to give me, I could take a spot hidden roll. Do you think you'd be focused inside the house or outside the house? What's your interest?
Inside.
Okay.
I've been outside.
Oh, no.
I met as a kid, but inside's, I haven't seen too much of that. And the door is open, and I'm just kind of curious to see what the inside of the house looks like, because
Yeah.
people's houses are cool.
Go for a spot hidden check.
I'm not bad at those.
Isabella, I presume that's a fail.
That is a fail from me, and I have swapped things to verbose, so we will now know in detail next time I roll.
Fantastic. Okay, all right. So, Monkey and Isabella. Isabella, with your listen roll, you definitely heard it, but you don't get any further information. You can't pinpoint where it came from. It could have been something banging going to the inside. I mean, Corbitt didn't seem disturbed by the sound, so maybe it was just something. Maybe it was like an old steamer or something. That said, you did hear it, and it was strange. Monkey, looking inside, he appears to have a shockingly normal house. There is a The interior goes through like a set of stairs which are sand. On the right you can see what looks like there might be a little library, tons of bookshelves and things, and further back it probably leads through like a dining room or something. You can see the light spilling through from the back windows across like a white tablecloth, and the whole thing's sort of set up for his dinner later in the day. Seems, you know, very boring, unfortunately.
Nothing
Dr.
interesting?
Fogarty. Sorry?
Yeah.
Nothing interesting?
Yeah, nope, not a thing. Not that you can spot at least. So Dr. Fogarty, with a successful roll, so
Yeah.
his immediate state, he seems to be very calm, very in control. He seems a little bit distracted, as if just a cloud passes through his mind, and needs a little bit of sort of like tugging back into the conversation. When the knocking went off, you detected like a start, but it wasn't of shock or anger or anything. It was more just like a shift. And then by the time he moved past you and through towards the car, he was doing so with direction and with a sense of clarity and purpose. Could you follow this with a psychoanalysis roll, please? Because I know that's your specialty.
But I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
Sure can.
You would never presume to like diagnose someone from a single
Armchair
chance
diagnose.
visit based on this. Well, it was a tiny thing, but for a moment you wonder if Mr. Corbitt hasn't had some kind of like personality shift as he moves away, and you watch him walking. He slips his left hand into the pocket and palms out the keys, and you know he's right-handed. And as he steps in the car, he does so. He's just very collected. It's almost as if he's a different person. He begins to pull out from the driveway and head into work.
Did he go off to work still wearing that apron?
Yeah, he probably gets in the car and tumbles off and puts it on the side
okay.
thing. But yeah, he went straight to the car from here.
That is weird. Like, you'd think he'd go back inside, take the apron off, and finish getting ready for work, and not just
It seemed that
wander
knocking
straight out.
was he just immediately steps out and closes the door.
I don't like it, but it would be rude to pry. So let's go back and have
One
lunch.
wouldn't.
Oh dear. Well, listen. If I can ask something quickly, as we sort of turn to leave, you mentioned, and obviously Isabella doesn't know this, but you mentioned that the severed hand that we thought that Brad saw tumbled and landed upon the ground just here. As we go to leave, does my foot scuff across any kind of sticky red-brown residue or something like that that could just be slightly interpreted as blood?
That's a good thought. No, it doesn't. But what it steps across is a very clean portion of the veranda where it looks like someone's applied like mineral spirits or something to clean away what could have been. Dr. Fogarty, you notice this as well, and it's exactly the point where the hand spilled out the night before. Looks as though someone may have emerged at night to clean up any evidence.
That is interesting. As we're walking back across, I will remark what a strange man this Mr. Corbitt seems to be.
I don't know. He seemed nice.
He was nice enough when I was growing up here, that's for sure. He does seem to have gotten a little peculiar in his old age, but that's not uncommon now, is it?
No. Adults are usually peculiar.
Well, there's peculiar, and then there's his car is now well and truly left now,
Yeah.
hasn't it? I'm just going to quickly, just before we go, I'm just going to have a quick nose around the front garden. I would like to make a natural world check just to see exactly what Mr. Corbitt is doing to make the plants go so well.
Sure. Give me a natural world roll. And if
right.
your feet are on the pavement, it's not snooping.
Exactly.
It's enjoying the garden.
An extreme success, just to make sure that the answer isn't like blood and bone and way too much of it or something.
I mean, again, roses respond very well to blood and bone.
It's true.
That's a good roll.
It's an excellent
all right.
roll. It's an extreme roll, David.
That's a
extreme
very,
success.
very good roll. So the bulk of his growth is to the rear of the house, but as I said, the front has like these gorgeous roses, and you bend down to have a look at what's growing under them, and you can see that the ground down here is frequently tilled. It looks as though he digs it up and repots it with regularity, and as you dig around inside it, looking for, it seems pretty mundane. your hand clutches something underneath some of the vines, and as you pull it out and dust it away, you are holding a severed finger.
Oh, good God.
And I need a sanity roll from you, and probably actually from everyone who's immediately going to see this shortly after.
Turn and show it. Nah, it was blood and bone.
I was not gonna be paying attention, but okay.
You'll see it when Isabella swings it around in front of you.
Dun. Oh, okay.
We're all good.
With
We're all
successes,
good.
no, none from any of you. You're all okay.
I mean, people occasionally lose fingers in my line of work.
A bloody finger in the middle of the garden. Do they just leave it where they lose it? Good
Where
God.
else would you put a finger that you lost?
I mean, you try to get it reattached, or you don't leave it in the rose bushes in the middle of a suburban street. My God, what is this?
I don't think that belongs to Mr. Corbitt. I'm pretty sure he had all of his fingers.
So he's got someone else's fingers in his rose bushes.
At this point, one of the neighbors sticks their head out and looks over towards you, hearing you yell. They didn't catch all of it. They pop their head out, and little old dude goes, "I'm sorry."
I'm gonna slip the finger behind my back and say, "Go back inside. This is a private conversation." And I'm making an intimidate check.
It's a
my.
success, and you just hear him go, "Well, it's a public street," and goes back inside and shuts the door.
Ooh.
You are out in
Millions of
public.
people. We should get back into the house. This is, God, I don't know whether to take it with me or to throw it back in the. Bradley, hold this for me, and I'll drop it in his palm.
Oh.
You catch it, Bradley, and as you turn it over, it's an old and wizened finger. It is not a child's. It's too long grown. It's a full adult's.
I'm sure there's going to be a perfectly innocent explanation for this. But yes, let's do get back inside.
Innocent, explanation, of course. He wanted 2 fingers of whiskey and misunderstood what he'd need to measure it.
Yes,
Why
that's.
has he got any more fingers?
Once we're back inside, is there some scotch in the house?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a private establishment. The police wouldn't dare raid it. Down towards the back, Douglas kept a well-stocked reserve.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll make sure I've got myself a healthy glass. Offer a drink to the other 2. And
Oh, okay.
Bradley?
Mrs. Wallace will step in as you're just getting everything set and go, did the shopping go all right? Is everything ready for tea?
Oh.
Yes, wonderfully.
Mr. Corbitt will bring the vegetables over for dinner tomorrow. He was a little bit preoccupied today.
Man, a shame, but unsurprising. Well, listen, I'll drive into town and I'll see what I can fetch.
Well, what do you mean? What have you seen of Mr. Corbitt recently?
Oh, little recently. All I know is, since his wife died, he's never been, well, quite the same. It's just a shame these things happen. Death surrounds, and it begets and it begets. You remember you'd remember his wife, Bradley? You were young at the time, or only here recently. She was a nice woman. Died in childbirth.
How long ago?
12, 13 years.
No, of course.
So yeah, I take that back. You wouldn't have been young. You would have just been probably only visiting a little bit, and they weren't married for very long. Would be the thread.
That's right.
She goes, you might not have actually crossed over.
Right. Oh well.
Why don't you go take a seat down in the drawing room, Auntie, and we'll join you in just a moment. We just want to figure out exactly the plans for dinner.
All right. Mrs. Wallace and Harriet remove themselves, and you can hear them in the back playing checkers poorly.
How do you play checkers poorly?
They're playing chess.
Backgammon.
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
One of them's playing chess, the other's playing checkers. It's a very confusing game, and no one's winning.
As soon as I've pushed Auntie Harriet out the door, I'll sort of bring it shut and turn back around, knock back my scotch and say, "You heard that banging inside that man's house? I bet that was... he's probably got a basement full of a dozen victims.
Yes, it is concerning. If we do think that there's probable cause for further investigation here, then we should call the police quick smart and leave it in their capable hands. I mean, I don't have any kind of vendetta against the man. If he's committing crimes, then justice has to be done.
And you haven't seen anything else suspicious, have you, Bradley or Monkey? Neither of you have spotted something out of the ordinary?
Well,
No.
you know, now that you mention it, I saw him coming back from must have been the butcher's. He had some brown paper packages. You know how the butcher wraps things up in brown paper.
Yes.
Must have dropped some kind of cut of meat on the doorstep when he was coming in. You know, it's funny. I thought it was a hand at first.
I'm sorry, you didn't think to mention this earlier, cousin.
It seemed very unlikely that he was, you know, bringing back human hands from the butcher's shop.
The man doesn't have patient-client privilege. When you see him bringing in severed limbs, you're allowed to inform us.
I'll certainly keep that in mind moving forward.
Look,
Monkey's gonna just leave at this point.
Monkey steps up and goes to the door, which Isabella's was posted in front of to make sure Harriet doesn't get back in, and just steps out and into the remnant of the house. Where are you going?
I'm going up in the nearest tree. I'm gonna go have a look at the neighbor's house.
The Mr.
Like-
Corbitt specifically, or are you just kind of surveying the neighborhood?
No, Mr.
Like a
Corbitt. Like,
suburban
I'm gonna go
Batman.
see if I can see in second story windows or anything. Putting surveillance at the moment. Post. Well, what would we call this? In a certain line of work, reconnaissance, maybe.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to give me a climb roll, and then we'll do a spot hidden shortly after, depending on how strong a position you can get.
as Monkey leaves, look what you've done. You've upset them, talking about severed limbs and oh my. Oh dear.
It's not a critical failure.
No, it's not. And with your skill level, that just means you're not getting in there's no perfect leaning over branch. You're just high up across the road. You're not going to get a bonus to a spot hidden roll. But you can go ahead and give me spot hidden regardless, unless there's something else you'd like to roll.
No, I think spot hidden is an appropriate thing right this second. I'll keep some of my more specific skills for later.
Oh, sorry, last pitch, unless you want to push the climb roll.
Well, I mean, I rolled before you said that, but if I can, I was gonna be yeah. Fuck it, why not?
Okay, all right. You could push it. There's a tree on his property. If you fail, you'll be caught by one of the neighbors or something, and you are technically in an area you're not supposed to be.
Driver stole it.
All right, rock and roll. Go ahead and push that climb roll. Oh, very nice.
Wonderful.
As the sun's
1
setting.
point for critical success.
That's really good. A couple of cars whiz past, and you go sprinting across the street, keeping low, and then almost a straight run up the tree to the first branch, a couple of huts, and you are high up than anyone else would see you. There's also a little a smattering of foliage that will obscure the street line from you. And while up here, you are confident no one would see you from the street, any of the neighbors' houses, or even the Corbitt estate. If he was poddling around in the garden or something, he wouldn't be able to see you up here. You're in such a strong position. Go ahead and re-roll that spot hidden roll.
I didn't know better. I'd
Spot hidden or
suggest.
bonus roll the spot hidden.
Re-roll the spot hidden, just straight re-roll. What was that,
Suggest
Jackson?
we're looking at if I didn't know better, I'd suggest we're looking at a min-max character design, especially for breaking into haunted houses, of which there may be 5 to explore in the upcoming week.
yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say breaking into haunted houses specifically. Maybe just houses?
Just houses.
Well, Jackson, you
That's
made
fair.
your characters to seduce demons, so glass houses.
Seduce demons. Excuse me, I'm a professional. It's a strictly professional, mutually beneficial
I see.
discussions that we
Do I
have.
get a
see.
bonus on this or not?
Yeah, go ahead and roll that one with a bonus die.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Odd success.
All right, from the top up here, you can see that the vegetable garden towards the back has what look like furrows as well, where it's frequently tilled, and you shudder to think what you might find beneath. The greenhouse
pretty
is
curious.
humid on the inside and almost sort of like steamed up around the exterior, and is filled with overgrown plants that push up against the edges of the glass, clearly potted and then left on banks towards the back. You also see that towards the back there is a rear entrance that goes straight down into the basement, and you can see a couple of glass windows that will look out from that area. I think you don't have any natural world, do you? Or like any sort of gardening skills, science, botany? Okay. You wouldn't notice anything strange about that.
I'm like, I climb trees, but I'm like a city person.
Yep. Well, climb tree checked. Do you want to hang out up here for a bit, or are you going back?
Yeah. I will. I'll pretty much probably spend the rest of the scene, at least, if not like a fair chunk of the rest, like the evening or whatever time of day it is, up here, because it's always good to just keep an eye on the place.
Yeah, you've spent a bit of time up in trees. You know how to sort of wedge yourself in and get comfortable. So you can happily spend an hour up here without any ramifications. Back in the other room, Bradley and Isabella.
Bradley, I understand you want to inform the police. I agree with you to an extent, but I don't want to disparage the local law enforcement community, but I happen to know the local police captain. He's not a wonderful sort. I think that before we try and involve law enforcement, we should try and get some other kind of proof, or I don't know, maybe we can get inside and see what's happening in there. If there are people trapped inside, we can let them out, and then, well, not only it's going to be a sure thing, we'll have saved him from, I don't know, cutting them up and putting them in his garden to feed an unholy lust for a luscious front yard.
Oh my.
Brady would have something to say about that, I think.
I really don't like the idea of trespassing here. Suppose that we do take a look. We let ourselves in. Maybe we'll find a perfectly innocent explanation for all this, and then we wouldn't have to get the police involved. Yes, maybe that's for the best. If we let ourselves in and find that nothing is amiss, then that's a better outcome for everybody, isn't it?
I agree. Once again, not meaning to disparage character, but I think that I think that Monkey might be of particular use if we want to get inside that place. But beforehand, before we talk about breaking in, the man seems to be coming from somewhere with packages wrapped that might be body parts. Maybe we can follow him about town, figure out where he's going, get some information based off that.
Well, that certainly is an adventurous spirit, yes. If you think that's worth a shot, then I suppose I'll follow you.
Well, we could start simply. How long has Corbitt been in that house? Is it a family place? Did he buy it recently?
He's been in there longer than you've known. He's had that house as long as you guys have lived in this one, or his family before them.
Well, you know, a bit of research couldn't hurt. I suppose is what I'm saying.
Oh, all right. I could handle that if you're so inclined to tail the man about town. I'd be happy to look into his family history and genealogy and see how long he's been there. If you think that'll help.
Well, anything might help at this point. I might have a word with Monkey and see if they can help us out in any particular fashion. But
where did they go?
We'll both go outside and start scanning the treetops.
You go outside and look up, and no sign of Monkey anywhere. You search the ones, the most common ones, and then you have that like chill runs down your spine, and you go, oh, hang on. And you look across the road, way up the top. Monkey, do you let yourself be seen, or do they need to roll to spot you?
Given that this is reconnaissance, Monkey's probably gonna be attempting not to be seen by anyone.
Okay. Do you want to either of you give me a spot hidden roll to see if you can spot the little acrobat?
Can't
Would you like to know what my stealth is, if that matters?
I think it's pretty good. We can contest it if they do particularly well. That's not great. Is that a fumble, James?
Yes.
Booyah.
Ooh.
Jackson, are you rolling as well? Or are you
Yeah,
gonna?
we're both
Or do you
am
see the
I?
disaster? If you're looking around, otherwise you might just decide not to bother.
Yeah, I guess I better, but it's not gonna. No, that's all right. It's
Okay.
I'll let them go.
They've been taken by Corbitt.
Well, neither of you, Dr. Fogarty, you don't spot anything, and you sensibly don't push the matter any further. But Isabella, you begin to walk across the road, convinced that Monkey is somewhere on Corbitt's property, either trapped or otherwise. And as soon as you step foot on it, the little older fella, the neighbor next to it, a man called like Philip Sampson, sticks his head round and says, "I thought I told you, that's not your property. Get out of here. Do you even live in this neighborhood?"
I'm going to walk along towards and say, look, perhaps you can help me. I don't strictly live in the neighborhood, you see. I'm from the city administration. You see, I have a lot of questions about building codes. I believe that this property might be in violation. There could be a large tax to pay. And in fact, I'm going to glance towards his house. I can see a few details here that, what's your building code? When's the most recent time have you checked with the city council about your permits for, I can see that roof there needs to be at 45. I'm trying to fast talk check.
Yeah, he goes, "I haven't received a letter or anything. You don't look very official. You're wearing, an evening
You know
gown."
what? I hate this guy. I am going to luck at 18 points.
Oh, wow.
Okay. As you baffle him with legal codes and jurisdictions, eventually he is repelled back towards his front door as you stalk after him, hitting him with another and another and another. And he goes back inside, promising to find any documentation necessary, and locks the door behind him.
Do I see this happening?
Yeah, you can see a bunch from up here. You got a great vantage point. You can hear most of it. There's definitely raised voices.
Am I in an oak tree?
Yeah, sure.
Is there an acorn?
Yeah.
Can I toss an acorn behind cousin Isabella?
Yeah, sure. Make a throw check. Well, actually, I mean, you can just do it if you're just trying to sort of ping it past him. Yeah, what's your intent?
I'm just trying to. The aim is to just spook cousin Isabella.
Okay. All right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Go for a throw roll then.
Here's my throw. Not the worst.
Oh my goodness.
Wasting all of my good rolls on dumb
I know.
shit.
So,
Do you want to make a sanity check?
well, just as this ends, there's like as something hits the street behind you, and you stop, and then another two right around you, and you look around, you can't see anything because the
Jump
acorns are
into-
ricocheting off the cement and flying out of sight. So it's
Jump
like it's
into a
exploding.
I'll jump into a hedge, then realize there might be fingers at the bottom of the hedge, and get back up and hurry back across the street to the safety of Auntie's home.
As you go hurrying across the street, you can't help but notice that a couple of the other neighborhood homes' lights have turned on. People are very aware of one another in this neighborhood, and you'd have to be pretty careful to get anywhere without being spotted. People are looking at you and just shaking their head at this horrid display of whatever as you make it back across the road.
Right.
All right, so what do you guys do for the rest of the evening and tonight? Or do you want to pass it on to the next day?
Retreat to my room and mope.
Okay, so we're having a
Everything's
good
gone
mope.
wrong.
Monkey or Brad, anything else you want to do, or do you want to go to tomorrow?
I guess if I've got the time to spend, maybe I'll have a go at doing that research into the house.
Sure. So the best way to do that would be to just head down to the local library and have a look through the old records. Do you want to do that for the evening?
I'll do that, and I'll also get those things for dinner that Mrs. Wallace was going to do. I'll do that for her.
Fantastic.
I'm a good boy.
I'll tell you what, I'm not a terrible researcher myself. Would you mind if I went with you, cousin?
That'd be fine.
All right.
Okay.
I suppose it's good to have a more imaginative, inquiring mind sometimes.
Brad, do you have your own vehicle, automotive means
Ooh.
of transportation?
Otherwise,
there is one.
So.
There'd be a family one or something. I'm just wondering if you have your own.
Sure. My credit
your-
rating is 30. That's not bad, right?
Yeah, you could
that-
have it. You could have a personal car, and also if you have to travel between clients and things, you'd have a little. Whatever.
Sure. Yeah. I'll have one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. You're welcome. All right, so Brad and Isabella are going to go into town at the local library and have a dig through some records. Monkey, continuing your stalk. So, reconnaissance.
Monkey is going to continue to stake out the property.
Very good. Okay. All right. Brad and Isabella, you head into town. You get a bit of the shopping done first, and then you'll grab like the perishables on the way out. Then you set down into the library. Large, bookshelves all throughout it. People dotting throughout the area that can help you, librarians and such. But otherwise, you have the run of the place. What are you looking into specifically? Where do you want to start?
I guess if that house has been in his family for a while, like I can look into like the history of where are we going in Boston?
Boston.
Boston?
I actually have an idea, Bradley. I can take looking into the history of the house, but I'm no great shakes at tracking down administrative details. Might it be worth you looking into this import-export business, try and figure out what Mr. Corbitt does around town?
Mm-hmm. That sounds reasonable, yeah. All right, yeah. Let's see what exactly he does with his fruit crust.
Okay. All right.
I imagine there's some kind of business records. I don't know if they'd be in the library though.
There'd be something.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, if not, they could refer you elsewhere to where you could find it. Do you want to both give me library use rolls?
I'm trying to go for a history check here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Sure.
No.
And but
success.
Dr. Fogarty did well. Okay. Isabella, are you interested in pushing that? It'd probably mean staying here overnight and possibly just saying, you think you might have found some stuff. You're looking through old newspaper articles and you're trying to look into some that are into sort of the Corbitts or the house. You're almost certain that there is something here. Do you want to spend the evening?
My clothes are still dirty. I've been terrified by falling acorns. I've been shouted at by old neighbors. I've never felt more alive. My explorer blood is kicking up. I'm on the trail. Yes, let's push it.
Okay, so you're gonna risk staying here overnight and not returning for dinner.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and roll that again.
All right. Oop, did it go through? Yes, it
Oh,
did.
very good.
It
Very
was
good.
worth
Very
it.
good.
I'm in my domain. I've got it all spread out in front of me.
All right, so the two of you are going to find out a few things. So first of all, the business, as that's what the good doctor was looking into first. They run an import-export business called Corbitt Importers of America. Started about 40 years ago by Bernard Corbitt, is the gentleman that lives across the street now. His father, Theodore, began it, but he died about 14 years ago in an accident overseas in India, which Bernard was present for, and since then Bernard's run the company. It does very well. There's about 6 permanent employees and a smattering of contract workers that come in and out. And they have a collection of warehouses and offices down by the docks where they handle products coming in and then ship it out all across America. With that, I'll also give you a because you know about the connection to his father. I'm going to give you a handout, which is related.
I love a handout
to the man's very strange death. All right, you should be able to see this now. And Jackson, why don't you read that out for the viewers?
Oh boy, I'd love to. Local businessman killed in accident. It was learned today that Theodore Corbitt, owner of the Corbitt Importers of America, is dead. Victim of a tragic accident while vacationing in India. Corbitt, while in the company of his son Bernard, died in a fall while the two were traveling through the high mountains of the Punjab. According to authorities, the two men were on a hiking trip when they were set upon by a group of bandits known to frequent the area. While being pursued down the mountainside, the elder Corbitt apparently lost his footing and fell to his death. His son managed to escape, eventually making it to safety. The elder Corbitt's body has not yet been located, and authorities fear that it may be lost, possibly consumed by the wild dogs that roam the mountain. Theodore Corbitt is survived by his wife, Elaine, and one son, Bernard. At this time, it is not known if Bernard Corbitt will take over the management of the family business. Dated 14 years ago.
So since then, it's come to pass that he has taken over the family business and run it with, fairly quite a bit of success. All right, for yourself, Isabella, I'm going to give you a second handout, and this is looking more into the Corbitt history. Now, they've lived in that home across the street for Theodore probably bought it when he first started his business, began to get successful, maybe a little bit before. So they've owned it for about as long as you can remember. they've been, well celebrated in the area. The Corbitts donate to the local police and other charities and are generally well liked. However, you do find one article which seems a little bit interesting, which I'm going to share with you now, and it's actually 2 connected articles.
Okay.
James,
I will
share
read
these
all
with
this
the
out. I will
viewers.
also mention as I go to they donate to the local police. I think that we'll have a lot of trouble getting police attention unless we have enough evidence that they can't look the other way. So obituaries. The first one reads. Corbitt, Lynn Ann Myers, age 22, died in childbirth in her home. A graduate of the Pierpont School, Miss Corbitt was married to local businessman Bernard Corbitt 2 years ago. Funeral services for both mother and child will be held Saturday afternoon. Mrs. Corbitt is survived by her parents, Edward and Shirley Myers, and her husband Bernard Corbitt, president of Corbitt Importers of America. And then right after, nurse hospitalized after accident in patient's home. Professional nurse Miss Mona Dunlap was admitted to Central Sanitarium yesterday following an accident that took place in a patient's home. Her condition was diagnosed as serious. Miss Dunlap, hired by Mr. and Mrs. Bernard Corbitt to help with Mrs. Corbitt's confinement, apparently suffered a stroke while attempting to deliver the Corbitt's baby unassisted. Mr. Corbitt returned from his office Wednesday afternoon to find Nurse Dunlap unconscious and his wife and infant son dead due to complications arising from the birth. Doctors at the sanatorium say the woman has yet to regain consciousness and it may be some time before the full extent of her injuries are known. These articles are both dated 12 years ago.
All right.
Good God.
That's
So a
dramatic.
couple of interesting little tidbits. So as the two of you uncover this information, and then because you succeed your push roll, you're able to get the produce and head back home for dinner. We will close the night with one more piece of information. As Monkey, you are perched up the top and you've been watching the area for a while. Kind of dozed in and out, but basically just assessing the area. Were you hypothetically to attempt to break in, you're pretty sure the windows on the upper floor are not locked and pretty easily accessible, and you could get right in. Additionally, there are doors and windows towards the back that go straight down into the basement, although all of those do appear to be locked and kept secure. Eventually, about sort of like 6 or so, Mr. Corbitt's car returns, and as he exits, he doesn't have any packages with him or anything. He makes his way to the door, opens it, but he does look across the street towards the Fogarty property for just a moment, narrowing his eyes, and then steps inside and shuts the door. You hear a click as it locks, and then no lights on the upper level turn on, but the ones in the basement do. And then shortly after, Isabella and Brad will return. And why don't the three of us take a short break? We'll be back in 10 minutes or so after we just grab a drink, and we will return for a little bit more of Mr. Corbitt. Boosh. G'day, welcome back. Oh, I need to change that so you can see the dice rolls. There we go. Now we're welcome back. Where we left off, Monkey was up a tree. Which seems in keeping with the name, so it's consistent. And Brad and Isabella had uncovered some information at the local library using that library card. So let's pull the three of you back to the house after dinner. Harriet has retired, and Mrs. Wallace has gone back to her own room to sort of darn some clothing or something. And the three of you kind of have the run of the place. What do you want to do?
Well,
Can I come back in sort of after Harriet and Mrs. Wallace have left and like come back in and just start like picking at leftover food?
Sure. I think that was I think Mrs. Wallace did a bit of like a where is that child, even though you're 20. But Harriet's known you for a good chunk of your life, so she goes, hey, they'll come when they come. Just eat now. They'll find food when they need it. So when you return, it's to no great surprise.
After I'll share the documents that we found with Monkey when they come in. We found these if you'd like to take a look. And then sort of lean in conspiratorially. I'm on my third large glass of scotch of the evening, and talking with Brad, and I'll say, listen, I think tomorrow morning, after a good rest, we should head up and try and track down the nurse from this article. You're a psychologist, an alienist. You have connections. I'm sure you could use your professional credentials to gain access to the sanatorium if that is still where this person is. And if not, you might be able to speak with them without distressing them. Oh my God. Bradley, I can't hear a thing you're saying, man.
That's always
Well,
funny.
yes, I could do that. I'm not quite sure it aligns with the ethics requirement expected of medical professionals. This is not strictly our business here, and I don't want to overstep any boundaries.
What does the medical ethics say about when you find out there's a gang of poor innocent school children in your neighbor's basement?
He has a basement.
It has a basement. Monkey said so. With a skilled short, you didn't go in, did you?
No. Why would I go into someone's basement?
I was just checking. I believe that that man is dangerous. I understand, Bradley, that you have ethics. Important in this modern age. And I admire you for them, but it is also ethical to try and help. The man has fingers in his rose bushes. Sorry, monkey, yes.
What are ethics?
Ethic. Well, Bradley, but correct me if I'm wrong here. Ethics are what's stopping Bradley from helping.
Well, that's a very short way of describing a very long definition.
Right.
Uncle Brad, you're not gonna help? Why children's hands are rocking up on the yard of Mr. Corbitt?
I suppose it would be the morally principled thing to do, yes. All right.
There we go.
I mean, this article is
Are
dated
ethics
from...
different to morals?
I can give you the learned fancy university speak answer of that.
Monkey will listen and then go,
It's very interesting. A bit dry, but he sells it. You get the point across. Everyone emerges enlightened.
Moving
I
right
think
along.
Monkey's just like, and nothing goes
Okay.
through.
Right.
What?
This article is from 12 years ago. There's no real way of knowing, there's no way to rely on the fact that nurse is still there.
No, but maybe they're still about town, might have family here. If they were practicing in the area, then it makes sense. Maybe the sanatorium will know where they've gone, if not. I suppose we should do the obvious. I'll just pull an address book out from under by the dressing room table and make sure that there's not an address listed for this woman.
For the woman, the most recent one, no, there is no address listed for her.
All right, well,
The sanatorium still exists.
very good. Well, may as well head up there.
Oh, the Bernard, the corporation, the Corbitt one, is publicly, like, you can find the address. That is also an official thing.
That's interesting.
Well, let's not get too close to the man. I
tend to
suppose
agree.
it's worth checking in with the nurse and seeing how she's faring these days.
Yes.
A really quick way to find out if she's still there is to just call them. They've got a telephone number.
That's a good idea. We'll make a call before we go.
Is it too late to call right now? What time is it now?
It is. It's like 9 or 10 p.m. It'd be a bit
Alright.
cheeky.
That's what we'll do.
We have the number of the corporation. I think that when we decide to make our move and head inside, it could be wise for us to call up and book an appointment, something that important, influential, something that Mr. Corbitt would have to attend so that we can ensure that he'll be out of the house for a given amount of time.
And see this in your noggin.
Is in Isabella.
Yes.
Are you suggesting breaking and entering?
Well, it's hardly. I'm suggesting rescuing lost poor school children. But
Why are breaking and entering?
Well, when we talk about ethics, when we talk about morals, I've had to do some, as an explorer, I've been put on the edge a few times, and then when the going gets tough, the tough get going, or so I've been told.
Oh, I thought they ate people.
Well, we don't talk about that part.
Okay, I mean, So we're breaking and entering.
We're trying to uncover a perfectly reasonable explanation for all of this so that we don't have to get the authorities involved.
So we're breaking and entering.
Until you can prove it in a court of law, Monkey, we are allegedly breaking and entering.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
All right, perfect. But make sure we go in collectively. We don't want anyone to get isolated. I think that... Anyway, regardless, tomorrow, Bradley, you might head up to the sanatorium. Is there anything else the two of us can do? Monkey, you seem to have mastered surveilling the place.
You know that.
Well, I figured out that who else would be throwing acorns at me unless I've made the enmity of a particularly aggressive squirrel.
No, just a particularly amused monkey.
Well, that's perfectly... that's much preferable.
I mean, if we're gonna do breaking and entering, I have some of my kit here, but I could probably go and pick up some things.
Oh, you have a kit. Okay, well, by all means. Is there anything else? We don't want to get too close to the organization, I suppose. So, if you want to gather some supplies and then maybe watch the house, I can go with Bradley up to the sanatorium.
Do you have money?
I have some money, but I'm sure Bradley here will be able to pay for your expenses, won't you, Bradley?
Well, as long as they're not significant, this is hardly a professional enterprise that I wanted. I hardly want this to become a professional enterprise. This is not going to have a significant return on investment.
I just, generally speaking, I don't have to buy grappling hooks. That's all.
Can you put a price on? You can't put a price on life, Bradley.
No, but you can put a price on grappling hooks, and I'm gonna probably need one. Or at least, more specifically, I don't need one, but you two might.
How much is a grappling hook run these days?
$5.
$5.
Yeah, you get a good one. You get a good one. You don't want it to crap out on you when you're 2 foot up on a burglary expedition.
All right,
Actually, Isabella, you might have some climbing equipment sequestered away somewhere, like crampons and shit from when you ascended Everest.
I do. I have some climbing equipment that we can use, but I'll be happy to hand that over.
I don't need it. It's for you two.
Okay, well, perhaps we can use that then.
You'll need it.
All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow morning then for breakfast, Bradley, and we can head up to the sanatorium. Then perhaps in the afternoon, let us all meet here, and we'll try and organize, I suppose, whether or not we head inside.
Sounds a plan.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier than talking to people.
Yeah.
People are complicated. Locks are easy.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
Well, people are complicated. I know. I have several degrees on the subject.
All right. Well, I'm off to bed then. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Good night.
All right. The three of you retire comfortably in your room scattered throughout the house. Bradley, you've got your childhood room. It's got a bed that's like way too short for you, and you've got your little awards from when you were a kid here. What did you excel at
That's
at school?
delightful.
What's up on the wall? What were your achievements?
English. I won a national essay competition, of course, on ethics, I guess.
You knew what you wanted to do from the beginning.
Started early, yeah. According to my backstory as well, my treasured possessions are my qualification certificates. So even though perhaps I don't have them here, I think probably the walls are plastered with all of the Good Boy of the Week awards I won in school. I don't know. My primary school had those. Did everyone else?
Sure.
Good
Absolutely.
Boy of the week.
I can't remember what it was called.
Good Boy of the Week is pretty good.
It wasn't like, it was like merit certificate. It was like achievement of the week or something. We all kind of stood up and
You earned your
got 'em.
class so many pizza parties. You were the best kid.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's what I revisit.
Awesome. Isabella, you've been set up in one of the spare bedrooms where you've unfurled your, all the crap you brought down with you. Suitcases of clothes and deceased husband's effects. And
Oh, Jonathan.
Monkey, you strike me as the sort of type that has been given a room but prefers the chair to curl up in and sort of sleep on.
if I've been able to, I will have fashioned like a hammock out of the sheets and like blankets. If not, then I am on the bed. It's just a nest.
Yeah.
Of like clothes and blankets and honestly random shit I found around the house that is either comfortable or shiny.
Yep.
Like it's literally walking into like a mammalian magpie's nest.
And trying to open the door, it immediately bumps against all the stuff you've not stolen, but just relocated. It's still in the house. It's not thieving.
I'm not taking it anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just comfortable.
Just being experienced. That's right. You all three have a comfortable night's rest, and the next morning can set about your affairs. So, Dr. Brad, you were going to go to the sanatorium.
I'll call ahead
Monkeys.
first and find out if Miss Mona Dunlap is still there.
Yeah, definitely. So you ring them, and it's answered by an attendant. As soon as you ask for her, they go, just a moment. You can hear them flicking through files. Then they go, I'm sorry, we don't have anyone here under that name. Hold on, I'm sorry to tell you, they died about 6 years ago.
Oh.
Were they a friend or a family member of yours?
No. Dr. Brad Fogarty. I'm a psychologist out of New York. It was just a matter of professional research.
I see. Well, I'm sorry to waste your time. Dr. Whitworth, who was her doctor, is still on staff. If this is a study and if you accredit it, I'm sure he'd be willing to talk to you.
That would be most fascinating. Is he available anytime today?
Certainly. He has some time just after lunch, if you'd like to come down.
That would be swell. Thank you so much. I'll see you later today.
All right. It was Dr. Fogarty, was it?
Dr. Brad Fogarty, yes, from New York, you know.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll see you down here at say 3 p.m.
Let's.
Tremendous. All right. And it's a date. So you have the morning, but otherwise you can head up to the sanatorium. It's a short drive. Actually, it's maybe like a half hour to an hour as you kind of get a little bit out of the city and up into windy countryside. So you leave with plenty of time. Isabella?
Can I also try and make an appointment just for as late as is reasonable, like a 4 p.m. meeting or something? I will need, of course, to speak to the head of the company, and say that I want to bring in a large,
Is this the Corbitt importers?
Yes.
All right. So you call up them, and they've got someone who there to answer the phones, and they do a lot of in and out. So it's a common task. They answer the phone and they go, yes, this is Corbitt, importers, exporters. How may I help you?
Yes, I would like to requisition your services, but I have a lot of questions about logistics. What kind of volume exactly are you able to move, and how secure can you guarantee certain objects?
Significant and very. What was your name?
Well, I will provide a fake name, and I lean fully into my fast talk, and I'm going to try my best to set up. I need to speak to the man in charge, kind of thing.
Can I get a credit rating? I think is more the pass for this. Trying to pass yourself off as important, and
I'm lying through my teeth. I say I'm very important.
Sure.
But, yeah.
I tell you what. You can go fast talk, but it's going to be hard given it's over the phone and there's nothing to really prove who you are. Like you
Sure.
like you said, you are making someone up. If they've never done business with you, they've never heard of you in circles. So give me a hard fast talk check.
All right. Let's go with that, and let's hope it works out. Would you like an extreme, David?
That's pretty good. All right. They say, look, Mr. Corbitt has some business this evening, and he regularly leaves early on Wednesdays. How about I schedule you sometime tomorrow?
That would be fine, but I carve us out a window of time when I know that that'll be like our best go for it.
Sure. You kind of like build up the whole thing, and he's like, all right, we'll make sure you can do a tour of the area, and we'll bring in like some information for you to have a look at. With your hard success and with a bit of pushing, you lock in a good 3 hours at the end of the day. So let's say 2 to 5. That's just going to be, in theory, Corbitt is committed to. That said, if you don't turn up, he might just leave. you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna stay
you've
there
got
for 3
that.
hours.
Yeah, just looking at the wall.
Yeah.
But the section is yours. All right. Monkey, what do you want to get up to today, or this morning? Let's say. Chucking rocks at neighbors.
Look, probably.
Okay.
It's probably just gonna be. Actually, you know what? He's gonna be going over his equipment. Sorry, not his. Their equipment. They're gonna be looking over tools, make sure they're all in good condition. If anything needs polishing, oiling. They also probably have some similarly quite expensive or quite well made soft leather gloves that have which they will also use oil or probably lanolin, something like that, to just soften up properly. And then we'll probably go into the backyard, sort of hopefully out of the view of most of the neighbors, and with the gloves and the shoes and everything, we'll start doing climbing exercises on the trees and jumping between trees and stuff. Essentially, they've had a week and a half, maybe a bit longer, depending on how long they've been down here for the family business, not doing what they do. Obviously they go climbing every day, just to climb, but that's not difficult. So this is training.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so you set to checking your equipment and double checking your equipment. Brad drives out, heading to the sanatorium in the evening. And Isabella, what are you doing in the afternoon? Anything, or are you just helping out around the house?
I think I'll sit and wait. Essentially,
Sure.
I'm not confident in my ability to properly assist in a. I'm gonna holding pattern.
Or to tail a car or whatever else you were suggesting.
No, I don't want to get too close to the situation. I sit in an armchair, peeking through the curtains, occasionally eyeing the house for comings and goings. I'll
Most other neighbors on the street.
Exactly. I'm fitting right in.
Probably
You're
at
at
one
home.
point you do hear depending on how close you're listening, you probably do hear a very gentle kind of thud towards the side of the house as Monkey's jumped from the tree to the drain pipe and is now climbing up the side of it, just and then jumping back again.
All right, so let's follow Dr. Fogarty. You leave what is already suburbia and head a bit more rural, eventually coming up to a little set of foothills where there's a nice garden path and a white building at the front. There is a gate around the whole thing, but overall it's a pretty pleasant thing. Inside there's a wealth of rooms where they host patients. And the reception at the desk recognizes your name. Dr. Whitworth is waiting. He's in a small cafe at the back, a cafeteria, where a lot of the doctors take their lunch. And he stands up to shake your hand as he comes in. He says, I hope you don't mind. I took the courtesy of looking up some of your past work. You've written some really interesting information. What did you publish anything publicly about your experiences recently with a strange demon?
That's a good question.
And did you veil it as a story with her?
To be honest, I think I might have been in the papers a bit because I had to testify about that.
Yeah.
That
and the
guy
killer
got a
alone.
What was it? Blackwood.
Blackwood. Also,
sounds right. The book's
didn't
somewhere
the
else.
cousin write a novel
Yeah.
about everything?
Perhaps, yeah. Well, maybe that's not out yet, but certainly I would have had to testify that he was insane because that was the only cover. It was I had to get him off for killing his wife. So yeah, I would have been in the papers for a bit.
Yeah, so even if not the demon thing, then that was pretty recent and made a bit of a splash in the old psychologist scene. So yeah, he's read up on it. He says, I mean, he did some really interesting work and some really interesting field work as well. It's not often you get people in our profession that are willing to go out there and get their hands dirty. So credit to you.
Thank you very much for your kind words. If we can we can help make the world a better, safer place, then that is what we should do.
Well, that's exactly right. So I heard you were asking about Miss Dunlap. It's an older name. What can I do to help you?
Yeah, well, as it happens, I've just moved back to Boston, and Mr. Bernard Corbitt is my neighbor, and I was just a little bit concerned about how he's doing these days. And so, as a neighborly thing to do, I thought I should reach out and see what kind of history is back there. This young Miss Dunlop, I understand, was involved in an incident in his house, and really, I'd really just like to support him in any way I can. So I wonder what you could tell me about the case, about Miss Dunlop and her well-being as it was up until, I understand, 6 years ago she passed on.
Well, while she was in our care, she was pretty much comatose for the duration. We looked into her records. She was a nurse for some time, specialized in dealing with birth and childcare, and she was hired by the Corbitts and was there when Mr. Corbitt's wife and child unfortunately were killed during the birth. The theory and what Mr. Corbitt suggested was that she panicked, went into shock, and entered a coma for 6 years. Now I've heard some things. It seems extreme, a reaction, especially for a woman who has delivered more children than most. Additionally, as a doctor, and given your past, attempting to help people and set the truth to rights, I don't mind sharing with you what was kept a little out of the public eye. Just before Miss Dunlap died, she did wake, briefly. And her last and only words to me are, well, burnt into my memory. She said it was awful, that it didn't have any arms or legs or hardly a face, that it should have died, and that it should have died with the other one. Now, of course, Mr. Corbitt's wife only gave birth to one child. So, look, I don't know, and unfortunately there's little else I can offer. She has some family in the area, as I understand it, but they weren't involved in any way that I know of. It's unfortunate. But it's unfortunate.
Well, that is worrying. And I suppose there wasn't much time to make a full assessment of her mental state after she woke from the coma.
She seemed aware of where she was. She looked me in the eyes. She had her faculties to some reason. I believe it may have been a dream or something which pervaded her consciousness throughout the coma, something that latched in there, but she said it with clarity and with purpose. I've never met Mr. Corbitt, besides when he gave a statement right at the beginning. I can't speak to the man, but I don't know. Perhaps there's more
as far
here
as I can tell, he is a little bit odder these days, and I remember from my youth when I used to live across the street from him, which is, I think, quite understandable. He's suffered quite a traumatic life.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I have to get back to work, unfortunately, but it was an honor meeting you, Dr. Fogarty, and if I can ever help you with something like this again, please do reach out.
Thank you very much. I'll be sure to keep in touch.
All right. He shakes your hand and returns to his rounds. You can enjoy the gardens for a little bit if you please, but otherwise you can head back to join the others. Is there anything else you want to look into, or?
No, I guess that'll do. It's getting on to the late afternoon now.
Yeah, it is. All right. So as things push on, the evening passes. At around 5 or so, as you're getting ready to have dinner, Mr. Corbitt pulls back into... That's probably a little bit later, actually. It's probably after dinner, after you've... No, sorry, because he was going to deliver vegetables. It is before dinner. So at around 5, he pulls into the driveway, and as he emerges, both Isabella and Monkey, you are in the area. You can see he retrieves a wax paper wrapped package, a single sort of rather bulky thing from the boot, and he puts it under his arm and he moves quickly towards the doors so that no one leaving a house could intercept him quickly enough to have a conversation unless you went yelling out into the street.
I was tempted.
Do you? Do you?
No.
He reaches out, grabs it, and he heads across and quickly enters into his house. Watching from there, about half an hour later, he's out in his garden picking vegetables. And then not long after that, he's at your front door, knocking with a basket full of fruit and vegetables. Actually, he grabs the vegetables and things, went inside to like wash them and stuff, and then he head over. So it's probably a little bit late for dinner when he appears.
I'll let him in and be as hospitable as possible. I will try and make out like I have not even the slightest suspicion, and I'm just hoping for a wonderful conversation and yada yada yada.
Of course. He places the vegetables down on the table, and as the three of you gather around, he's given some to Mrs. Wallace, who's cooking, and Harriet he's had like a conversation to, and he's going to sit down with her for coffee in a moment. He goes through things and he picks out a few of the tomatoes, and he says, you should try these. It's not common. People think of apples as more sort of handheld fruit, but really they're wonderful when they're fresh. And he hands over a tomato to each of you, and he holds up one himself. It's delicious, and he bites into it. And it's very, what is it, Dadathor or whatever in Lord of the Rings, with like the little bit of red dribble that runs down his chin, and he wipes it away.
How very European. Yes, I'll indulge.
Okay.
I will also have a tomato.
Okay.
I think Monkey's just gonna be like,
Vegetable.
need salt, and then is just gonna like duck into the pantry, into the kitchen area, and goes to get salt and pepper, because that is actually how you eat a tomato.
Yeah,
whole.
sure.
It's quite nice.
You can grind a little bit on it, and then if you enjoy it as well, he finishes eating his, and then the table is set and dinner is prepared. The sun begins to set outside, and you hear Bobby, chased by Basil, the small mutt dog, running down the thing, and the thump of a newspaper on your porch where it lands. And things are beginning to get a little hazy as you sit through dinner. I need all three of you to make extreme con rolls.
Oh,
What?
No. We've been poisoned by these bloody tomatoes.
I was gonna say, like, the reason that I ducked away was because I didn't actually want to eat it, and I'm not saying this because you
I
said
got
that.
that
It's just like
impression
he's
as
like,
well.
I'm gonna get salt and pepper because that is
I
how
got
you
as
eat
well.
it. But he's gonna just like kind of look at it and be like,
I tell you what, give me either a spot hidden or a psychology roll to notice something maybe amiss. You can push it if you like, or luck it. Otherwise, I'd say you get like not peer pressured, but
yeah,
in for a penny, in for a pound.
What is pushing it in this instance?
I think it's as you sit through dinner, you haven't eaten it. You sort of like got it seated there. I don't know. I was going to say just being rude, but that doesn't feel like much of a risk, given that you're pretty confident he's poisoned
He does
you.
not care. What is it?
it is-
It's 11 luck.
Giving away that we know something.
I tell you what.
Eat it all at once and have a stronger reaction.
Yeah. It'll be one if you do commit, you realize the taste of the tomato is too delicious and you can't help yourself, and you're gonna jam in your gob. And I think I won't tell you the exact risk, but it will be a worse reaction for
Right, and
consuming it.
what do we have to roll if we do eat it? Just like a
An extreme constitution roll.
Extreme?
Yep.
So I got a 98, so not from me.
Not from you.
Not a fumble though. Oh my God, Brad with a crit coming in. Yes. Oh,
Holy
beautiful.
shit.
Well,
Oh my God.
All right.
that's how it's done.
That's pretty
folks.
Your poison does nothing. Brad's
That's
been
today.
raiding his chemical supplies. He's half an ether on the reg. He's well and truly immune.
Monkey, do you want to
Amazing.
push or?
I'm tempted to luck it rather than push it, just because
Yep,
it's
that's
an
also
extreme
fine.
con. And my con, despite being 5'2", Monkey's con is like 70. So
Pretty good. So
there's
there's a chance.
but not a
Okay.
very good one.
All right. So you're going to
I'll
spend a
continue.
luck. So reduce your luck by whatever number is applicable. And then when you went into the other room to get salt and pepper, you just palmed the tomato into the garbage. All right. So
So it's just Isabella.
sitting at the table, you sort of like you move to the dinner, enjoying the meal, and to his credit, Mr. Corbitt seems perfectly pleasant. And he ate one tomato as well, and he just seems like, you know, not a care in the world. He talks with Harriet for a while. Eventually, they go outside for coffee, and then he, you know, will make to move back across the street towards him. Isabella, you are experiencing weird hallucinations. You're sitting at the table, looking down at your hands, and you're noticing like every little movement in your fingerprints seems to like fold in, and then you start thinking about, you know, those tiny, what are they called, bacteria that's supposed to be on them, and you imagine them swarming around the thing, and then you look down at the plate of the soup which is congealing inside it, and you can see eyes rising up from underneath it to extend towards you and be swallowed down through your mouth. Sort of look over, and your nails elongate, fall off, and the holes beneath them have pores that drill down towards the bone. You are having a bad trip, dude. A really bad trip. Can you give me a sanity roll? Can you give me a sanity roll? And Brad. Okay, yeah, you're gonna take. Ooh, that's a. No, you have 50 exactly, so you're okay. You're gonna lose a D3 from this, and you are gonna be basically out of action for. Let me roll some time, and 2d4 hours. Okay, like 5 hours. You're just basically gonna be slowly rolling through this thing.
Wow.
Brad, you feel the beginning of this, but your mind is still, and you shut it off, and you are not only aware that this was like, you not only resist it, but you're also aware that they tried to do something to you. You felt the beginning. And looking across at Isabella, staring down at her soup and her hands and the tablecloth, you kind of get a feeling for what she's going through. Monkey doesn't need to roll.
Do I get the sense that it was the tomato?
Oh, almost certainly. Almost
If
certainly.
you don't, I think if Monkey succeeded the spot hidden at some point, he'd just be like, "Did you eat that?"
I did, and I feel fine, but I'd caution you not to.
You can like feel it on the edge. Like you're kind of
Yeah.
You're a little bit hazy, and even looking at Monkey, they're shifting and smearing a little bit, but you're controlling it. You're still keeping your sensibilities.
Are you
Got some
good
mental
at,
gymnastics or something.
Are you good at chemicals?
Not especially. No, I just.
Out on the veranda, you can hear Harriet wishing Mr. Corbitt a good night.
Just because,
Oh.
like, you know, I have the one that I didn't eat. If you know you wanted to do something with it, I
yeah,
don't understand science.
Hold on to it for now. I'm just gonna I say goodnight to Mr. Corbitt, if I may.
Should I look after cousin Isabella? She's
Yeah,
very good.
that's a good idea.
Why do all my husbands keep dying?
What? Uncle Brad,
Yeah.
what do I do with someone who has brain unhappiness?
Just get her some water and some blankets, and maybe get her up to bed.
Okay.
We don't make it to base camp before sunset.
So Monkey tries to tend to Isabella and to just get her to somewhere where she isn't going to cause any more trouble. Mrs. Wallace is giving you like a pretty dirty look as you walk past, but all you see is a demon that would dare to gaze at you. Brad, as you step up to go towards the door, your legs like quake a little bit under you and you catch the edge. Like you are feeling this, but you're still going. You sort of move. The hallway elongates before you as you get towards it, and then when you open the door, Corbitt is right in front of it. It's like his face fills the entirety of the door frame. You can see like the cheekbones are like heightened in his eyes, wide, as if the focus of the lens of the camera is blowing the whole thing out. And he looks over towards you and goes, I'm sorry, Bradley. How can I help you this evening?
Oh, well, I just heard that you were on the way out, and I thought I'd just say goodnight.
Oh, not at all. Thank you again
Thank
for the
you
lovely meal. And
Oh,
I
well,
hope
thank you for the
enjoyed.
vegetables. And
I
for
hope you
joining
enjoyed
us.
them. And he holds a hand out. You can feel it, and his hand is like wet, almost clammy, as he grips it and shakes it up and down. And actually, I'm gonna change it. He does so with his left hand as he catches it and shakes yours in return. And he goes, "You have a good night now. You hear?"
Is there any vegetables left?
Yeah.
Is
There
there any
are-
were there other tomatoes, or was it just like veggies?
Just the 4 that he brought for the 3 of you and him. But you have yours, which you put in the bin.
I wanted to know if there are any other vegetables that
We
had
requested some.
similar consistency, like a squash or so, or like something like that.
We requested some carrots and turnips and
Yeah, he
rooty
brought a
stuff.
bunch over for like the dinner. Most of about half of which got cooked. But yeah, there's a bunch more like carrots, whatever else you could want.
Cool, because as he leaves, Monkey would like to ditch a squash at his feet.
Oh,
Like just smash it at
Just
him.
from like probably honestly after getting Isabella, because
From,
it's
like,
gonna take
the-
too long to get through the house, is literally just gonna like climb up onto the roof, and is
Okay.
just gonna like ditch this thing at his feet.
You can climb up, no risk. So as you're ascending to the highest point and like you like give it a heft and prepare to throw, Brad, are you saying anything further, or he's like shaking your hand and he's moving to leave?
let us know if there's anything you need, if we can return the favor. Thank
I
you for
will.
joining us.
I will. Thanks. I'm sure I'll see you soon. And he lets your hand go and begins to step down the wooden stairs. Monkey, what's your intent with throwing this? What are you hoping to do? To distract him? To irritate him? To
Get his
provoke-
attention.
Okay. All right. You can just lob it. No issue. Do you want to be hidden or do you want to?
No, I want to be up there. I want to be sitting on the roof.
Yeah, no risk. You throw it, and Brad, just as you turn to go back aside, you hear like a wet squash as a squash is lobbed towards his feet and kind of splatters on the ground. Corbitt freezes in front of it and just like pauses before turning on one of his heels, looking at Brad first, and then raising his eyes to spot Monkey perched on the roof of the Fogarty home.
Thanks for the vegetables.
Monkey, that's no way to treat our guests. Please come down at once. You'll slip and fall. It's too dark to be up there. Please.
I
You
just
can
wanted to say thanks. And he wasn't looking at me.
His jaw clenches, and you can see it like grind back and forth for a moment before he's able to pull the veil back down. And he says, "Not a worry." And then,
I'm sorry, Mr. Corbitt. A difficult
no
upbringing.
mind,
you know.
it's fine. I need to get home now. I'm very tired. And he walks across he takes like a long step to clear the ruined vegetable and then strides across the street towards his home. He opens the door, and as both of you like look across the road to each other silhouetted in the doorways, he just like stares right at you for a moment and then it shuts and locks. What he's doing in there, we don't know yet, but clearly it's something evil, and hopefully our investigators can save the day. But unfortunately, that's going to have to be next week as we wrap up Mr. Corbitt and find out what he's doing in there. Bad stuff. Thanks, guys, for playing. That was a really fun session. And cheers to all of our viewers for watching. This will be up on YouTube very soon. And yeah, we'll be back next week to bring this home. And then from there on through the Mansions of Madness as they break in and talk to demons and irritate neighbors and who knows what else. So yeah, it should be a
More
lot of
vegetables.
fun. Throw more vegetables. Ascend the peaks of the Himalayas. So yeah. It's high as a kite. All right. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.